PNG authorities can now detect fake passports. A first for PNG in defining law. And conservation trumps fast money in Pomio.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Friday's news. Papua New Guinea now has the software to detect fake passports. The Papua New Guinea Immigration and Citizenship Authority has been given the software through the International Organization for Migration, funded by the Department of Home Affairs Australia. This will ensure PNG cuts down on transnational crimes.
Within 10 seconds, a person can be identified as being in possession of a fraudulent passport document. Developed by the International Organization of Migration, the Verifier Travel Document and Bearer is software and a workstation which uses facial recognition features to compare with the original passport photo on file that can be located using the passport number. When an immigration officer suspects a fraudulent passport or the person looks different, he will be asked to move into the interview room, stand in front of a camera, and his photo is run through the system. He may have a beard or look different, but if the software does analysis of facial features and measurements and gives the result in percentage, it would be up to the immigration officer to make the call on the final result.
So it will give us the capability to be able to detect imposters, people who are using fraudulent or altered travel documents to enter the country. And it will also help us to be able to record the number of those instances that are happening or people that move across our borders.
The Papua New Guinea Immigration and Citizenship Authority trained officers and were given certificates yesterday to operate the two computers, one in the departures and the other one in the arrivals. With the workstation and software in place, PNG will also have access to the IOM Document Examination Support Center in Bangkok, which provides guidance and advice in locating and verifying questioned travel documents.
It takes only 10 seconds of time to make a verification, which means that the flow of travelers entering Papua New Guinea will not be interrupted or disrupted in the immigration processing, and that immigration can very quickly and efficiently assure that the traveler that's presenting the passport is the person entering the country.
Papua New Guinea is the first country in the Pacific to have the software and the 16th in the Asia-Pacific region. The software was donated by the International Organization of Migration through the Department of Home Affairs in Australia.
We've gone through the training, and it's timely as well in this period where PNG is hosting the APEC Leaders Summit. This gives us an added capacity, a boost to our security capability to be able to ensure that persons who pass through our borders during that period can also be checked.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, the Indonesian Immigration Authority has issued directions to stop all Papua New Guineans from entering Indonesia through Wutung in West Sepik without presenting their PNG passports. This directive will be made effective on the 1st of November. PNG Consul General in Jayapura, Jeffrey Wiri, told EMTV News this is because of the abuse by Papua New Guineans using the traditional border crossing passes when travelling to Jayapura.
The directive from the Indonesian government is clear. All Papua New Guineans will not be allowed into Jayapura, Indonesia, through Wutung without a valid passport and visa.
Commencing 1st of November, they will only use PNG passports and a traditional border crossers pass, which means that any Papua New Guinean who intends to visit Sko or Jayapura for whatever reason will now be required to have a passport, PNG passport.
Previously, Papua New Guineans who are not from the 4 border villages in West Sepik used what is called a supplementary or manifest to enter Jayapura or the famous trading center at Sko, Batas. However, that privilege has been restricted by the Indonesian authority.
The supplementary list is basically for people from PNG who arrive in Vanimo, want to come to Jayapura or to school, to shopping and sightseeing for a few short days, like 1 or 2 days. These people who don't have passports, they're permanent citizens. They're not landowners. They don't entitled to get the Treasury border pass. So they are given the supplementary list as a means way to cross over.
According to statistics acquired from the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce in Jayapura, over 30,000 Papua New Guineans visit Batas in one day, and an estimated 750,000 kina is spent in Batas in 1 week. But through the sale of dried vanilla beans, that money returns to PNG.
Due to some increased abuse, the immigration authorities here in Jayapura have issued instructions that with effect from 1st of November 2018, they will no longer accept people coming manifest list or supplementary list. That will stop as of 31st of October.
Once the directive comes into effect on November 1st, it is predicted to affect economic trade between Papua New Guineans and Indonesians at the border. Following the directive from Indonesian authorities, the PNG consulate in Jayapura has also issued similar directives to prevent Indonesians from entering PNG without a valid passport and visa.
In the past, we allowed church groups, political leaders going from Jakarta come here to short one-day trip to Vanimo, cultural groups, church groups visiting PNG. We've allowed them to cross using ordinary list that here we in consulate we approve them to go for a short trip. That will no longer be allowed. It's our reciprocal arrangement now. We will not allow Indonesian citizens to go across to PNG, venture into PNG territory for whatever reason.
Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Landowners of the oil palm projects in Amanab, West Sepik province have undergone basic life skills training in Jayapura, Indonesia. The first 32 graduated in Indonesia after successfully completing 3 months of studies. This opportunity is the first of its kind for landowners to receive training through an arrangement with Papua provincial government in Indonesia.
The graduating class consists of locals from Amanab, blocks 1 to 4 in the Vanimo Green River district of West Sepik province. They become the first batch of landowners to benefit from this new agreement between the investor, the PNG government and the Indonesian government. 32-year-old Wilson Leomi is one of the participants who were grateful for the opportunity to learn carpentry skills.
Building construction. How blow turning cement. Yumi PNG dilakukan all skills yumi nokat. So mibla kam lokia na oleh mibla lukim tam tin blo mibla sabai concept desla sabai blo how blo turning cement na working brick house tam desla sabai concept let group blo mibla lukum samo sabai mstable ya na yumi PNG ne na blo working mol lakan all people building na brick house. But all kam line mibla how blo starting brick na starting house na brick house by contact.
Such rare opportunities come as a benefit for people from the border villages along Vanimo West Coast, given the lack of technical education opportunities available in Vanimo. The only challenge was understanding Bahasa, Indonesia's national language. However, it pushed the participants to do more research on learning how to speak it correctly.
First day, nitla feel December. Second day, third day go. Alright. Nitla cooperate 137 pound. I'll just speak Bahasa. Nitla no sabe ba. Nitla speaking accent, me understand.
The skills training varied from carpentry skills to tourism and hospitality. It was delivered in 3 months with funding support from the oil palm investors in Amanap. This opportunity for locals to study in Indonesia is part of the 10-year Basic Border Agreement, which was signed by both governments in 2013.
Provided by the technical school here is basic training for both hospitality and also technical type training for trade like carpentry, vehicle mechanic. Those are for our border region young people. Like I mentioned, that is consistent with our Papua New Guinea Indonesia Basic Border Agreement that spells down certain provisions, one of which is technical training and education, cultural exchange, promoting of trade, tourism, people-to-people contact. All those things are covered under our Basic Border Agreement.
Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Patients in Lay's urban clinics are among thousands throughout the country being referred to main hospitals and pharmacies because of a shortage of basic medicines. The problem is many are unable to afford the costs being charged by pharmacies. In Lay, where we have begun our coverage on the shortages, all urban clinics have run short of antibiotics, anti-malarial drugs and consumables like gauze and adhesives.
The Pomio clinic in Lay staff show a near-empty dispensary. They've run out of antibiotics and anti-malarial drugs, including the government-approved Mala 1, which is used as the first line of treatment in smaller clinics.
We'd really like our own supply through our own supply chain. makes things less stressing.
So this is big worry me plus threat now. Currently me facing this problem now and stuff.
When we run out, we usually running around looking for who can help.
Many of the staff at Pomio Clinic have never openly spoken out about drug shortages out of the fear that they might be penalized. But after battling the problem for 3 years, they've now revealed that the government area medical store hasn't been providing a regular supply of anti-malarials and antibiotics since 2015.
Antibiotic, normally me say treat him everyday patient coming in from Monday to Friday. Those basic main drug me giving me. Now me run out. It's like
what they do have in stock are medicines that they don't prescribe every day.
But for the long run, me you mean one time about marasini coming.
This afternoon, when the last of the patients came to the clinic, they were told they would have to go to the pharmacies to buy their medicines. Some of them can't afford to buy their own.
Me go again, pioneer road piximani again to buy marasin. Time me no money.
In August and September 2017, when the supplies of anti-malarial drugs ran short, clinics throughout Lay continued to refer patients to pharmacies for their medical supplies. Pharmacies in turn increased the prices from an average of 40 kina per treatment course to 80 kina.
Sometimes they come and they can't afford drugs and they come and the staff have to fork in, because they can't afford it.
Those health centers are very important because they serve the catchment population area. And when you look at the catchment population area, you're looking at about 40 to 70 or 80,000 population. So you can see the need of the population is very, very important.
Even without the essential drugs, the clinic is kept open so health workers can give patients the proper diagnosis and then refer them to a hospital or a pharmacy. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lay.
A school in the Lower Waitape area in Central Province will be upgraded in 2019. Teacher Simon Jave says for 20 years the school received no infrastructure to improve its status. The locals signed a document to allow the Japanese government to help build new facilities for the school. The school was visited by Golala MP William Sam recently.
Kase Community School is situated on the steep valleys of the Lower Waitape area of Central Province. The school's location is breathtaking but is an obstacle in transporting materials to the school. Teacher Simon Jave has been teaching for almost half of his life. He says since its establishment, there has been no support or recognition by all levels of government.
Even though I have problems, but I don't mind. I don't mind about like money-wise. I don't worry about pay because, you know, I think of providing service to my people.
The school was built in 1993. It serves nearly 5 villages of about 500 people. With no financial assistance, the school ceased operation for 10 years and was reopened in 2014. The Goilala District Development Authority has come on board to help the community rebuild the school. MP William Sam says the Japanese government will be assisting through its grassroots development grant assistance.
Community here, they will do the provide labor towards the cost of this program at no additional cost. If there's any cost, then it will be between ourselves and the community.
The locals sign official documents to allow for the upgrade of the school by development partners. Work is hoped to commence in 2019.
We have set aside 300,000. Hopefully that will go to assist the Japanese government in meeting their logistics to ensure all the materials are transported to site.
Jackal Power Jr. National EMTV News.
Ahead on National EMTV News, the Morbus Show expecting a huge turnout. That story and more when we come back. Welcome back. It has been 57 years since the annual Morbus Show started, and it's on again this year. More than 60 Sing Sing groups will be taking part, not forgetting the bikers, horticulture, agriculture displays and a whole lot more. Organisers representative Karen Quinn says they're expecting a full 2 days, starting this evening with the fireworks display at 7.
The showground was already bustling with people preparing for the show. Stalls both in and off the showgrounds were already set up, with final touches being put up. This year, more than 60 Sing Sing groups will be taking part. Organisers representative Karen Queen said they will be strict on traditional attire this year compared to past years.
All mas true bilas because plenty picking him and I look in this kind of culture before, and it's very important. No whistles, no tinsel. True, so that when they come up onto the arena, all the pygmies who will see these dancers, they'll say, that's what my mum and dad or my boo-boos used to be dressed like before.
This will be the 57th Morbus Show this year. Every year, the event attracts showgoers in the city, province and some from the highlands. Karen Queen said they're expecting a full 2 days of fun and entertainment. In addition to the annual bike performance, they've added the Wheel of Acrobats.
So there'll be 3 of those performances on Saturday and 3 on Sunday. And a little secret that nobody else knows, except for you and I now, is that we might get a guest appearance by the Kumals.
The fireworks show this evening at 7 will mark the start of the 57th annual Morbus Show this weekend. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
Opposition member Brian Cramer says despite a slow start to the planned work boycott, the city of Port Moresby looked less congested and an overwhelming show of support on social media. But the Meghan MP says he understood the situation of some of the citizens of Papua New Guinea who had no choice but to go about their normal days. He says this is just the first strike, with more to be expected.
Brian Cramer, who was vocal about the nationwide protest, says they did achieve an obvious outcome, that it would be slow, but some residents, especially in Port Moresby, showed their support.
That there's certainly been an impact today. This is a government fortnight weekend, Friday, where you would typically expect a high congestion traffic area. This morning I woke up and drove down most streets of Port Moresby, traffic lights, roundabouts, and traffic was pretty much clear.
He said, however, that if they had stuck to their initial 2-day planned strike, it might have gained the momentum.
Media, PNGs throughout, I think WIWAC stood down today. A few PNG owners said they've stood down their own buses. I've seen on social media and I'll be posting about to say that they told their bus drivers to stand down because they're concerned about their kids' future. I think A lot of Papua New Guineans are genuinely concerned about their kids' future.
But like the true opposition they are, they have it all figured out, with Cramer revealing that this is the first phase in the opposition's calculated assault on changing the agenda of APEC from trade to having the alleged corruption in Papua New Guinea put into the limelight as a main agenda for APEC.
That APEC is important, going to be a critical time for Papua New Guinea, not because of trade. Because the biggest problem that we face, like other developing countries, isn't that we don't, our economy, the problem is our economy and trade. It's the issue of stealing, corruption.
He added that in the 6th sitting of Parliament, they would be seeking from the government a full detailed report on APEC spending before they initiate the second phase plan, which they hope will gain the public's attention.
APEC spending, all of the acquittals to be made known. So the opposition can review these records to confirm that they haven't been misusing, we already know they did with Maserati purchases, the people's money. After the 6th of November, then the opposition will then rise again and call for another strike.
He did thank those who showed their support and stayed home, saying they were doing it for their children's future. Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
Morata, a once notorious place in the National Capital District, launched its first ever women's microbank yesterday. This was made possible under the Rural and Urban Development Foundation. It's an initiative to create access for women living at Morata to have an opportunity to open and maintain their own bank accounts. Pomio district in East New Britain province is a home to many endangered species that are gradually decreasing in numbers in other parts of the country. The arrival of oil palm and logging in the district have not only driven its economy but created threats to its fragile environment. It's a tough decision for the locals to make between making money or conserving the biodiversity of the region. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
This is Palmalmal Station, the district headquarters of Pomio. To get to Palmalmal, it takes about 6 hours on a boat or an hour on a small plane from the provincial capital, Kokopo. The location offers breathtaking views of splendid beaches and rivers. These spectacular views only gives an impression of how isolated and mountainous the region is. A few kilometers out of Palmalmal Station is the Fisua Guest House. It is part of a conservation plan by the Meghan clan that chose not to give away their customary land to oil palm and logging developers. The guest house is an initiative of the clan established to meet the requirement of UNDP and other similar organizations so that they can be able to get assistance when they need it. Sebastian Pagot is a leader of the Meghan clan. He looks after the guest house and the forests and the sea they conserve.
1998, all big man long manginun, Philippine kawakwatan misla ting. Long one embat, like nasolo lookout mo one emblem use him all low way all mangi behind, but you can use him to all this low one embat.
The clan have dedicated about 72 hectares of their customary land in this conservation effort. Similar initiatives are being taken by other tribal clans in the district. The first feel of conserving their environment was over the coming of oil palm and logging into the district. About 3/4 of the district's landmass still remained untouched. In fact, the district covers over 3/4 of East New Britain's total landmass.
You got plenty of tourism products or stuff long. People area. Osen sila ting long. One emia, store. At the same time, people are piling too. Osen more partner or less la lokam LPB pla. Samplakan. Osen capacity building.
The awareness of preserving forests and environment have been said so much that it can easily be recited from memory. But making money or conserving biodiversity has been a tough decision that the Meghan clan had to make.
All palm by come na ebakam on the road. Na disela more people yet only bring me up.
For centuries, subsistence agriculture and fishing have been a way of life and provides the main income for the people here. Now, new economic activities are taking over, and with these changes come fresh concerns over how to preserve the district's only real treasure, its pristine wildlife. But for Sebastian and his tribesmen and women, they know what their future holds. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Civil Aviation Minister Alfred Manasseh on Wednesday launched Papua New Guinea's first legal dictionary. Kwa's legal dictionary was written by the Secretary of the Constitutional Law Reform Commission, Dr. Eric Kwa. The event was a memorable one for the Papua New Guinea law and justice sector.
The minister said the theme complements the APEC theme of harnessing inclusive opportunities, embracing the digital future. Manasseh says he was pleased to launch a book by one of Papua New Guinea's top legal scholars, Dr. Eric Kwa.
I'm here to launch is called Kwa's Legal Dictionary by Dr. Eric Kwa. Kwa's Legal Dictionary is the first ever legal dictionary written by a Pacific Islander and the first Papua New Guinean.
The minister says, unlike other forms of literature, writing a legal dictionary is a very difficult task as it requires authentic and verification of words and phrases by the authority.
It is therefore imperative that it is written by experienced and highly skilled and qualified individuals. I'm very happy that Dr. Kwa has published this legal dictionary. It's called Kwa Legal Dictionary. It's a nice and small one, it's handy.
Manasseh says having published other books, Dr. Kwa's dictionary was his 10th book and it took him 10 years to write it. Papua New Guinea's Chief Justice Sesalomo India says he was pleased to see his former student following his footsteps. India says the business of writing is part of the legal culture.
Lawyers, judges, we write law and we rewrite law and then rewrite it again and again until we get to the truth of it. I'm happy to say that Dr. Kwa has followed my footstep as a good student should. And we are in the business of writing books.
The Chief Justice stressed that it's the most useful and most powerful legacy that lawyers and judges can leave behind in terms of providing information that is needed by the younger generation of lawyers and the general public. Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
Among stories making headlines overseas, the FBI zero in on pipe bomb makers, Mexican migrants face U.S. troops, and the royals continue their tour in Tonga. Stay tuned for the details. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, the FBI has reportedly zeroed in on Florida as it hunts a pipe bomb maker who's targeting prominent critiques of President Trump. At least 10 devices have now been mailed with a South Florida return address. Movie star Robert De Niro and a former vice president are the latest in the firing line.
The images confronting Americans this morning could have been scenes from a war zone, but this was real-time footage from a postal facility in Delaware. A bomb disposal expert dealing with a suspect package, one of two addressed to former Vice President Joe Biden.
It's not who we are, and it's time for us. I hope this has been enough of a shockwave for people to say, okay, enough is enough.
Earlier, downtown New York was the focus when a similar package addressed to the office of movie star Robert De Niro was identified. The actor, a strident critic of Donald Trump. And Robert De Niro may be grateful that he had a retired detective screening his mail. Police say he'd seen the other packages on the news, realised he had one just the same, and immediately called the bomb squad. The suspect explosive whisked away in a vehicle known as a total containment vessel. At least 10 crude bombs have now been intercepted through the mail, all virtually the same, from the packaging to the contents. A digital clock, a pipe, wires, tape, and the powder inside the pipe. None of them, though, exploding.
The initial analysis indicates that the powder in those particular envelopes did not present a biological threat.
And authorities won't say whether the bombs pose a realistic threat.
We have to treat them as
live devices.
And the FBI won't say whether other prominent opponents of President Trump, potential targets of these packages, are getting added protection. After yesterday calling for unity, Donald Trump reigniting his feud with the media, tweeting,
"A very big part of the anger we see today in our society is caused by the purposefully false and inaccurate reporting of the mainstream media that I refer to as fake news."
And sparking a response from former CIA Director John Brennan, who was also sent an explosive package.
Stop blaming others. Look in the mirror. Your inflammatory rhetoric, insults, lies and encouragement of physical violence are disgraceful. Clean up your act.
As President Trump embarks on a week of intense midterm campaigning, investigators are heading to South Florida, where it's believed the packages were sent from.
More U.S. troops will head to the border with Mexico as thousands of migrants inch closer to America. The team of 800 will arrive next week to help set up tents and build fences.
Thousands of migrants continuing their trek northward through Mexico, saying they are fleeing violence and extreme poverty in Central America, heading towards the United States, hoping to seek asylum.
Wait till you see what happens over the next couple of weeks. You're going to see a very secure border. You just watch. And the military is ready. They're all set.
President Trump following up on that, with Defense Secretary James Mattis expected to sign an order to deploy hundreds of active duty service members to the southern border. An official telling ABC News the troops will not work in a law enforcement capacity, but rather offer logistical support to Customs and Border Patrol. The president tweeting today to those in the caravan, "Turn around. We are not letting people into the United States illegally. Go back to your country, and if you want, apply for citizenship like millions of others are doing."
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex with a toast of Tonga today. The royal couple spent time highlighting local arts and crafts and visiting a forest project. It was clear the couple enjoyed island life, and at one point, Prince Harry joining in the singing with the local kids.
Hands are raised, spirits are lifted. The Pacific's oldest secondary school putting on a royal performance. The royals visiting the forest at Tupou College as part of a conservation initiative. The joyful atmosphere was contagious. Prince Harry getting into the swing of England's own rugby anthem. And for Meghan, a special song about driving mosquitoes away. A timely reminder for the pregnant Duchess in a country that's experienced the Zika virus. Prince Harry and Meghan dedicated the main island's last remaining forest to the Queen's Commonwealth Canopy Project.
Tonga is leading by example and understands deeply the impact of environmental changes because they directly affect these islands.
This has been an historic day for the kingdom and hopefully profitable in more ways than one.
Oh, it's good for the economy, no doubt about it.
Tongans hope the royal visit will attract more tourists.
Opportunity for Tonga to show what we're doing, our culture, our customs and our people.
This jewellery for the royal couple made by local carvers Leonati Arts, whose father crafted a wedding gift for Princess Diana. The people here don't forget the past.
We just remember her mother, Lady Diana.
The royal couple are leaving Tonga with gifts and a wealth of memories, perhaps best of all, a serenade. Marking a visit filled with the goodwill of a small island kingdom.
Taking us to sports, the All Blacks are into the final preparation for tomorrow night's showdown against the Wallabies. This match will be also used as a test for Japan's hosting of next year's Rugby World Cup.
What's so special about a schoolyard game of touch rugby? Well, nothing really, except perhaps when it's in an elementary school in downtown Tokyo, the children playing are being coached by 3 All Blacks, and 30 minutes earlier, they'd never even heard of the game. Have these kids ever held an oval ball before?
No, I don't think so. It's all sort of new to them, but they're very excited about it, which is pretty awesome.
It was a PR visit, yes, but there was something unusually joyful about it. And when the children all received tickets to tomorrow afternoon's test match, they were stoked. Japan meet New Zealand rugby.
You're in a city that's pretty spectacular.
The All Blacks are staying here in Tokyo, but playing roughly an hour away in Yokohama, the Central World Cup venue next year. Now, the best way between the two cities is by train, but not for international rugby teams with all their gear. Bikes, probably not. So this has been a reconnaissance mission.
One or two things we're concerned about haven't sort of arisen so far, like the traffic hasn't been too bad.
So, transport, tick, food. Steve?
The food's great. You don't need to bring a chef, do you?
In short, Japan is feeling like a pretty good place to play in a Rugby World Cup.
And from a personal point of view, I've enjoyed it, and I know the players are.
Liam, a kid just scored a try behind you, which is kind of an exciting development, isn't it? I mean, that's part of the point of this tour, right? That to take rugby to Japan.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to show them what rugby's about here.
Are there future brave blossoms or Japanese women's players amongst these children? Will one of them take a new ball home and one day become a Karen or a Porsche? Maybe not, but there are children here today who have never previously touched a rugby ball, who have had a fantastic day and have played a bit of the game and know what it is now, and that certainly is a start.
Ahead into the news, we preview the Commonwealth versus England Knights match. That's next in Chukai Sports.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The World Rugby HSBC 2018 and 2019 Sevens Circuit will be free to air in PNG thanks to MTV. The rights of this Sevens series will see the 10 remaining legs in the circuit be viewed throughout Papua New Guinea, free to air on MTV.
First try of the game is guys. Oh, it's free.
Papua New Guinea, get ready to indulge yourself in fast-paced and entertaining Rugby Sevens action, free to air. The top Rugby Union Sevens nations will be on your #1 station to watch, MTV, free throughout the 2018 to 2019 season. Asia, Europe, America, Oceania and Africa, across 5 continents. The series will feature 10 tournaments, starting in November 29 to the 30th in the Dubai Sevens. All free to air to the 4 million viewers who have access to MTV.
Acquiring these rights will give the 4 million viewers to watch MTV at no cost. That's where we are coming from. Give them free, and the best content to watch on a free-to-air television station is MTV.
The World Rugby Sevens Series is an annual series of international Rugby Sevens tournaments run by World Rugby, the world body in charge of rugby union. The series, organized for the first time in the 1999 to 2000 season, was formed to develop an elite-level competition series between rugby nations and develop the Sevens game into a viable commercial product for World Rugby. The competition was originally known as the IRB World Sevens Series, but has been officially known as the HSB World Sevens Series since 2014 due to the sponsorship from banking group Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporations, HSBC.
We inquired with Fiji TV, and then somehow we were awarded the free-to-air rights. The tournament starts in November and ends in June. There's a total of 10 men's tournament and 5 women's tournaments.
Papua New Guinea Puk Puk Sevens team and the women's Palais team were invited to the 2018 Sydney Sevens, while only the men were invited to the Hamilton Sevens leg of the tournament after their respective performance in the Oceania Sevens in Fiji 2017. The chance to qualify for the full circuit was missed in the qualifiers in Hong Kong in 2018, and the two teams will be returning to the Oceania Sevens in Fiji on November 9 and 10 2018 to give themselves a better chance to get into the Hong Kong qualifiers in 2019. That's if the teams finish in the top 5 of the competition in Suva, and they might get invites to the Sydney and Hamilton legs for 2019 as well. But MTV's free-to-air broadcasting of the 2018 World Cup Sevens in the United States of America has brought the interest home for the Sevens format, gaining much support in PNG, and with a strong performance by the men's and women's teams, with the men making into the bowl qualifiers, winning 2 out of 4 games, a positive sign for the plight of Sevens rugby in Papua New Guinea.
In focus next year is to get sports that I believe PNG will be watching on MTV. So with the Sevens tournament, HSB Sevens tournament, there'll be more coming. So, you know, getting the right program and putting on the right platform, that is MTV, which is free to air, it's a boost for MTV itself. MTV.
Right, and forwards. Fideli Sukina, National MTV Sports.
The PNG LNG Kumals will take on the England Knights in the first of their 2-game series tomorrow in Lae. The Kumals travelled to Lae on Tuesday, while the Knights arrived in the Morbus province yesterday. Coaches of both teams named their 17-member squad yesterday for tomorrow's match.
The Kumals outfit has 5 players making their debut tomorrow in what is anticipated to be played in front of a sold-out crowd at the Lae Rugby League grounds. It will be a tough encounter tomorrow with the England team consisting of players from the English Super League and the Kumals led by Captain David Mead, who is sure to be trouble for the Knights. Nene McDonald and Justin Olam will be dangerous in the centres, while first-time halves pairing of Edwin Ipape and Watson Boz will lead in attack. Though there are 5 debutants, the Kumals will be able to cause an upset tomorrow. The England Knights team has 5 players from the Warrington Wolves, including captain Jack Hughes. Many young players have been named in the team to take on the Kumals. Jack Walker, Robbie Mullen, Sam Powell and Dean Hadley will be players to look out for in tomorrow's clash. The PNG LNG Kumals will take on the England Knights tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the Lae Rugby League grounds. Elijah Levette, National MTV Sports.
As a former Rugby League referee, Higher Education Minister Pila Ninengi has wished the PNG LNG Kumals all the best in tomorrow's clash with the England Knights. Minister Ninengi says the PNG side has enough talent for a win, but they must be utilised effectively to score points with minimum errors. The former referee says rugby is not about smart ball work and less errors, but discipline and courage. Ninengi says the first game in Lae tomorrow will be a test for the Kumals side.
We'll run them down. They're big guys, but we have naturally we give the talent at the Union Athlete, we can run. So my advice to them that if they can throw the ball around, then we can exhaust them. And given the climate, given the situation, they come to our part of the world, we can run them down. So now the boys have the have the talent. I'm confident that we will win.
Trukai Sports continues with more after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The All Blacks take on the Wallabies in Japan in just over 24 hours. Some are calling it a dead rubber competition. Within the All Black squad means anything but.
In a way, one of the biggest threats to All Blacks is other All Blacks.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
In almost every position, the gap between challenger and incumbent is breathtakingly tight.
But at the same time, I guess it's just a little bit motivational for you.
In short, competition within the squad does what the Wallabies haven't yet done in 2018, put the All Blacks under sustained pressure. But then, remember this?
Oh, Kane's dropped it. That's it. That's the ball game. It's all over.
Yes, this time last year, the All Blacks were also up 2-0 and Australia won.
The losing streak comes to an end for the Wallabies.
It's a one-off test match and, winner takes all, so we need to be right on top of our game.
Yes, of course, but there's a growing sense about this squad that these men are brilliantly galvanised by competition with each other. Being an All Black matters, but there are more players than jerseys. The result? Well, when your position isn't utterly certain, getting picked never loses its magic.
Because like what we sort of mentioned before, you know, there's always someone else trying to take your spot, so you just have to keep doing your best and make sure that you're playing the top of your game to get picked again and again.
Sonny Bill Williams has been picked again and again, 50 times.
50 tests, so I'm a bit of an old fella. It took me 10 years to get here, but I'm here and I'm grateful.
So any suggestion that he or any of the All Blacks may lack for motivation tomorrow, well, they're wrong on 2 counts, the team says. 1,
well, they're Australians, so you don't have to do too much.
And 2, there's so many other players who want your jersey.
And that's where for Trukai Sports. Up next, the weather details for Saturday.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast in the southern region only. Fine weather in Port Moresby, Alotau and Popondetta, and a shower or 2 in Daru and Cramer.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Friday, the 26th of October 2018. From all of us here at the newsroom, pleasant viewing, have a safe weekend and good night.